Welcome to the 10 Commandments series. This is part 6. Feel free to circle back and watch parts 1 through 5. Let's keep going. Exodus chapter 20, verse 13 says, "You shall not murder." Or another way to say it is, "You shall not kill." This is the 6th commandment. So this word murder or kill here is the Paleo-Hebrew word ratazah. Okay? Ratazah means to murder, slay, kill. It can be premeditated or accidental. It can be done as an avenger. Okay? So we're going to talk about the law and how it differentiates between when it's premeditated versus when it's accidental, when it's intentional versus unknowingly or ignorantly, okay? And context, these laws were given to the children of Yashara'al, okay? This is how the kingdom of Israel governs itself. And I wanted to point that out because there are nations, just like today, that when they go to war, they kill and they murder other nations in war. So this was a law given to the brothers and sisters in the community, in the land, and those who also lived in their kingdom as well, along with them, that cling to Israel, okay? The commandments given to them for eternal life and those that cling to them, those in the truth, okay? So let's run through Joshua chapter 20, starting at verse 1, and we can see an example of this. Yahweh also spoke to Joshua, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel, saying, appoint for yourselves cities of refuge, of which I spoke to you through Moses, that the slayer who kills a person accidentally or unintentionally may flee there, and they shall be your refuge from the avenger of blood. And when he flees to one of those cities and stands at the entrance of the gate of the city and declares his case in the hearing of the elders of that city, they shall take him into the city as one of them and give him a place, that he may dwell among them. Then if the avenger of blood pursues him, they shall not deliver the slayer into his hands, because he struck his neighbor unintentionally, but did not hate him beforehand." Lock in on that, hate him beforehand, okay? Goes back to this premeditated, and we're going to talk a little bit about hatred. Verse 6, "And he shall dwell in that city until he stands before the congregation for judgment, and until the death of the one who is high priest in those days. Then the slayer may return and come to his own city and his own house, to the city from which he fled." So Joshua breaks down how there's intentional murder versus unintentional murder within the community of Israel. We're going to look at the account of Cain and Abel, and we're going to see how these commandments were still in effect even before the children of Israel got them at the mount when they got delivered from Egypt, because Yahweh doesn't change. The commandments that he gave them derive from the commandments that he gave Adam in the garden, but we are going to talk about that another time. Genesis chapter 4, starting at verse 1. "Now Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived and bore Cain, and said, I have acquired a man from Yahweh. Then she bore again, this time his brother Abel. Now Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. And in the process of time it came to pass that Cain brought an offering of the fruit of the ground to Yahweh. Abel also brought of the firstborn of his flock and of their fat. And Yahweh respected Abel and his offering, But he did not respect Cain and his offering. And Cain was very angry, and his countenance fell. So Yahweh said to Cain, why are you angry, and why has your countenance fallen? If you do well, will you not be accepted? And if you do not do well, sin lies at the door. We already know what sin is. Let's keep going. And its desire is for you, but you should rule over it. Yahweh was telling Cain, look, the desire to be lawless and violate the commandments is right here at your door, but you should rule over it. He told him, don't fall for it. Look at verse 8. Now Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and killed him. Then Yahweh said to Cain, where is Abel your brother? He said, I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper? And he said, what have you done? The voice of your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. So now you are cursed from the earth, which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you till the ground, it shall no longer yield its strength to you. A fugitive and a vagabond you shall be on the earth. And Cain said to Yahweh, my punishment is greater than I can bear. Surely you have driven me out this day from the face of the ground. I shall be hidden from your face. I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond on the earth, and it will happen that anyone who finds me will kill me. And Yahweh said to him, therefore whoever kills Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And Yahweh set a mark on Cain, lest anyone finding him should kill him. You see that? Yahweh knew that that was on Cain's mind. He knew that that was premeditated. And what happened? Cain slayed his brother when Yahweh already told him sin is right there waiting for you at your door. That temptation to violate the commandments, to violate Yahweh's law, is waiting for you. And this is before the laws, statutes, and commandments were given to Israel, because this was always in effect, even in the beginning. So Cain had to deal with the consequences of that. Okay? He was cursed because he violated the commandments of Yah. And now we're going to look at 1 John chapter 3, starting at verse 10. This is the New Testament, and we're going to see how his disciples, his apostles, taught the commandments even in the New Testament, even after the death, burial, and resurrection of the Messiah. Check this out. Verse 10. In this, the children of Elohim and the children of the devil are manifest. Whoever does not practice righteousness is not of Elohim. See that? He says, if you don't practice righteousness, you are not of Yah. Nor is he who does not love his brother. Okay? Keep going. For this is the message that you heard from the beginning, that we should love one another, not as Cain, who was of the wicked one and murdered his brother. And why did he murder him? Because his works were evil and his brother's righteous. Do not marvel, my brethren, if the world hates you. We know that we have passed from death to life, because we love the brethren. He who does not love his brother abides in death. Verse 15, very clear. Whoever hates his brother is a murderer, and you know that no murderer has eternal life abiding in him. He references the commandments. He says, no murderer has eternal life abiding in him. This is why when the man asked Yahweh Shai, how does he get eternal life? Yahweh Shai said, you know the commandments. then John says the same thing. John says, if you are a murderer, you don't have eternal life. Eternal life is connected to keeping the commandments. And John makes it very clear that if you hate your brother, you are a murderer. So take a look at that hatred in your heart, because that can keep a person out of eternal life, because hate equals murder. And that's why in John chapter 8, we see these guys trying to go back and forth with Yahushua. And then in John chapter 8, verse 37, he says to them, I know that you are Abraham's descendants, but you seek to kill me because my word has no place in you. Then he says, I speak what I have seen with my father, and you do what you have seen with your father. Then if you jump to verse 43, he says to these guys, why do you not understand my speech? Because you are not able to listen to my word. Look at verse 44. You are of your father, the devil, and the desires of your father you want to do. He was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaks a lie, he speaks from his own resources. That word resources there is in italics. The sentiment is that he's speaking from his own heart, and he's going to use people that are his and that he can work through. Those are the resources that he's speaking through. For he is a liar and the father of it. But because I tell you the truth, you do not believe me. Which of you convicts me of sin? And if I tell you the truth, why do you not believe me? He who is of Elohim hears Elohim's words. Therefore, you do not hear, because you are not of Elohim. Yahushua told them right there, you're not of Yah, because you seek to kill me. You seek to violate the commandments. The people of Yah hear his words and they obey his words. They keep his commandments. And the ones that are not of Yah, they rebel and don't want to keep his commandment. Let's see how this pans out, and let's see this commandment in the book of Revelation. Revelation chapter 21, verse 8 says, but the cowardly, unbelieving, abominable, there it is, look at this word, murderers. See that? Murderers, 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 sexually immoral, sorcerers, idolaters, and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burns with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. So the commandment of you shall not kill, you shall not murder, Revelation is saying the ones that violate the commandments, and this commandment of murder is listed, he's saying they'll have their part in the lake of fire. Let's go over to Revelation chapter 22, verse 14 and 15. It says, blessed are those who do his commandments, do his commandments, do his commandments, do his commandments, that they may have the right to the tree of life and may enter through the gates into the city. But outside, meaning those without, meaning those that are not keeping the commandments, but outside are dogs and sorcerers and sexually immoral and murderers, 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 and idolaters, and whoever loves and practices a lie. See? The ones violating the commandments, and one of the commandments is you shall not murder, it says they are outside. Okay? Clear as day. Sixth commandment, you shall not murder, you shall not kill. Until next time.